MAGA is weird. Trump is weird. Weird motherfuckers out here, dude. MAGA is weird. I don't know what to say.
What you think about when you're born into a fire? Let them burn it out. Sell them to the richest buyer. They wanna let the world decay. They tell us lies and fade away, fade away. We feel betrayed.
I gotta start making YouTube shorts, dude. There's like a channel that I've just really enjoyed watching probably the last 3 weeks. And like 3 weeks ago, they had like 9,000 subscribers. Now they got hundreds of thousands of subscribers, all from YouTube Shorts. YouTube Shorts is blowing the fuck up.
Cause we're never dropping out. Beat the odds, beat the big house. Our brains are bigger than the doubt. We've been thinking for ourselves, never let the truth fade away. This is bigger than ourselves. We won't let the world burn away, burn away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake it through the back of the pack, kill it anyway to play.
That's right. I just need you to vote. You'll never have to vote again.
The world's mistakes. Wake it through the back of the pack, kill it.
All you gotta do.
And we feel betrayed. We
Jenny Crank.
Hey daddies, it's me, the Linda Binda from TikTok. I wanted to make this video because I wanted to thank you for watching Cold Beer Confessionals with Will Bird. I think that's just incredible. I've watched a few episodes and I'm just like very intrigued. But you know what I'm most intrigued in is Big Daddy's meat stick. I heard that it's very thick, like a good old German sausage. You know, Linda and her coochie loves that. Oh, never mind. Let's not go there. Anyways, I hope you have a good show and enjoy it as you can. There's a lot of weird things that go on, especially when it comes from the realm of Linda Bindaland. So, enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome. I didn't do a show last night. I had a headache. I actually went home pretty early and got in bed early. I probably left here about 10:30, 11, went home, grabbed a bite to eat, went to bed. But I'm back tonight. And MAGA, the MAGA cult, some retard hopped in the chat. It's like, yeah, make America great again. We're talking about the cult followers, obviously. No one wants America to be bad. But the cult followers are pretty severely weird. And that's been trending on Twitter most of the day. And people on the right are getting truly upset. I've been arguing with people. And I didn't realize that I was going to lure in a retard, but I absolutely did. 100%. So I made a post. Let's see if we can find it. Let's go. I don't want to open my page. Let me open my notifications because I know I posted some nudity earlier. Well, it was painted titties, but still. See if I can find. Okay, so not OpQ. Not OpQ made a post. So I posted. Representative Matt Gaetz said Maduro lost an election in Venezuela badly, then simply declared victory anyway. He is an illegitimate dictator. We stand with the people of Venezuela and their diaspora. I don't know what this word is. Diaspora? The dispersion or spread of people from their original homeland. Diaspora throughout the world, calling for an end to his murderous regime. It is sad but true that a nation can vote its way into socialism, but almost always has to fight its way out, right? So I shared this. I wasn't concerned about any of it other than Maduro lost an election in Venezuela badly, then simply declared victory anyways. So I shared it and put Trump lost the election in the U.S. badly, then simply declared victory anyway. And he continues to make this claim after being proven wrong at every turn. Now this brought out the MAGAs. This got them going. They got it going. Someone said they have it all. Trump win in a landslide. You'll see, Will. Then they followed that back up with they have it all at Q Patriot MLO1. Can you both answer the question on the 2020 election and all of your facts on it at not OpQ? And I said, they have it all. They just can't prove a single claim. Haha. The only one fucking with the election machines was Trump's team literally stealing election data. So if you don't know, after the election, Trump's team illegally stole election data. And that could have been your data if you lived in Georgia. They stole data. It wasn't approved. They forged a letter and stole data. So then this person says, that when the person came that they invited, and it says, I don't usually waste my time on people with TDS. Trump derangement syndrome. Right. I have TDS, apparently. I don't usually waste my time with TDS. But here you go from DOD source. By the way, someone asked me, do I really believe this? And I literally told them, I've researched every fucking claim. Every claim there is. Every claim they've made. All of them have no legitimacy. They have no evidence. They have nothing to back it up. Even Rudy Giuliani in court had to admit that he was lying about all the claims he made about Georgia election, the ballots under the table, the suitcases, Ruby Freeman, all of that. He admitted it was a lie and that it was his First Amendment right to lie. When Trump was charged with trying to spread false information about the election, knowing that he lost the election and claiming that it was that he was cheated out of it, it was stolen from him, and spreading all that misinformation, he didn't say we have it all. He was in court. This is the perfect time to bring it up. He was in court being charged with sedition by way of claiming that the election was stolen, lying about it, knowing that he lost, and still claiming that he was in court. This would be the perfect time to say, here's all the evidence I have, right? Instead, he said, I'm immune. You can't charge me for that. I'm immune. He didn't say, here's the evidence. Here's what the military collected. Here's all the data we have on the election being stolen. Here's everything we've collected. We're going to prove the election was stolen from me. Instead, he said, I'm immune. And then got a favorable ruling from the Supreme Court and said, I'm immune. Right? Would have been an amazing time for him to share that. So this person shows up, not OpQ, CUE, says, I don't usually waste my time on people with TDS, but here you go from DOD source, Dr. Jan. Now, this woman is just a lunatic, right? Either she's lying because, you know, it benefits her in some way to have Trump as president, or she legitimately believes this and she's a lunatic. But anyways, we'll click on his whole post because this is a string of things. It says, August 3rd, 2023, GB News, Dr. Jan Halper Hayes, at Real Dr. Jan 1, Biz Shrink, at U.S. Department of Defense Task Force member, was interviewed to clarify the facts surrounding the rigged 2020 election, covering several topics, including Donald Trump's 2020 election court cases served the purpose of introducing evidence legally through due process, including subpoenas of his choosing. So the reason he lost all his cases but still filed them was so he could introduce evidence that we never saw.
Just gifted 1 subs.
Thank you very much for the donation. I appreciate it. This is Dr. Jan Halper Hayes. Hold on just a second. So the reason he did all these elections was so he could introduce evidence. Joe Biden is the POTUS of the 18. Now, listen to how crazy their claims are. This is the one person they thought, I'll call this guy and they'll set Will straight. Joe Biden is the POTUS of the 1871 bankrupt USA Incorporated, whereas Donald Trump is the commander-in-chief of the U.S. Republic. Again, we've read the 1871. It makes a municipal corporation like every city in the United States. Has nothing to do with this. Joe Biden's not president of the corporation. This is old shit. This is like right after he was inaugurated bullshit. Okay? Now, U.S. Space Force has the real results of the rigged 2020 election, including the Kraken. First of all, U.S. Space Force has nothing to do with the fucking election, right? Second of all, we know who the Kraken is. Sidney Powell, under oath, said that the Kraken, her ace in the hole, the thing that she was talking about when she said release the Kraken, was fucking Tory Says. Tory Says, the person who was in the military for like 3 weeks, claimed a fake Purple Heart. Now she plays spy on the internet, but she's basically wrong about everything and lying about everything else. Scammed her own hometown, was sued in her own home for taking up for scamming charities. That's who it is. Sidney Powell said that this person is my secret source about scorecard and all that shit. Hammer. This was the Kraken. What's up, Nudge Julie? The Space Force don't have shit to do with the elections or the results. The Space Force monitors our fucking satellites. Jesus Christ. All right, then we go to the next checkpoint. This was like a checkpoint of wrong shit. Dinesh D'Souza's 2,000 Mules exposed phone geolocation data synced with surveillance footage of mail-in ballot dropping harvesting operations. Even the company that produces the movie no longer has anything to do with the movie because the data was so inaccurate. It was randomized data that they tried to attach to people that were just in that area. But what type of area are ballot drop-off boxes in? They're not out in the middle of nowhere, right? They're not sitting out in a field where you would never go there except to drop off a ballot, right? They're not locked behind gate and key to where you have to check in as a voter to get to it. They're in high traffic areas. So you're going to tell me that you were just blown away that a ballot box in a high traffic area had cell phone data that made it seem like it was a high traffic area? Whoa. The people at 2,000 Mules have even apologized. They're getting sued for ruining people's lives, and none of their data was substantial in any way, shape, or form. The last checkbox says, or the second to last checkbox says, the U.S. Department of Defense has the goods in reference to the rigged 2020 election. Now, this is just a statement by this lunatic we're going to watch this clip of in a second. The last checkbox says, Trump knew there would have been civil war if he presented said evidence prior to showing the people how corrupt the Freemasonic, Jesuit, Illuminati, deep state cabal was. How many fucking key phrases can you put in there that scream I'm a retard? The Freemasonic, Jesuit, Illuminati, deep state cabal. And how bad it could get if they were truly in control. So Donald Trump had all the evidence. And even when he was in court and had a perfect time to present the evidence just a few months ago, he said, I'm immune. You can't try me for that. I'm immune. Not, here's the evidence. Here's how it's stolen. Here's the Space Force coming in to testify. He said, I'm immune. I can't be held accountable for anything I did. He knew that he lost the election. He told people close to him he knew he lost the election. All of his normal advisors were telling him he lost the election, so he brought in new crazy advisors. Then it says, read and share the 4-article Developing Relations, the Bountiful NASARA National Economic Security and Reformation Act. This was their one ringer. This is the guy that said, hey, get not op Q. He'll set this wheel straight with all of his information. He's got it all figured out. Here we go. Let's see what she says.
We're told. Well, let's talk to Jan Halper-Hayes, who's a US political analyst, and he's here in the studio. Good to see you, as always.
Good to see you.
I don't know, GBN News or whatever, even they push back against this stupid shit. She's over behind the chat when you don't see her on screen, by the way.
There's so many people putting this down as a political conspiracy theory, but actually there are real questions to be answered here.
There are?
Yeah, of course there are. Of course there are.
So they say, hey, a lot of people are saying this is like a political conspiracy theory, but there's real questions to be answered here. Did Trump know he lost the election and then just keep fucking saying, I won, I was cheated, blah, blah, blah? Because it seems like he knew he lost the election, right? Seems like he knew he lost the election. And she's like, they are? They are? Yeah, even the news is saying there are, right? If he knew, if he was telling people, this just blows my mind they granted him immunity on this. If he was privately telling people or that he knew he lost, but he was going to fight like tooth and nail to stay in office, that's a fucking coup, right? That's a dictator. Or what we've heard before, he knew ahead of time that election night could get kind of bad for him. It could get kind of rough for him. So his plan going in was to claim that he had been cheated. That's horrible. Like, I don't know how you plan on justifying that, but that's fucking horrible. Not good. Hold on just a second. One of their other claims, which I'm going to go ahead and dispel now, was someone said the moment they stopped counting in 6 states, that's when because there wasn't enough Joe Biden votes, that's when they, none of that's true either. Hold on. So here are they like to misrepresent this, that all the states started counting when we stopped counting, and then we woke up and Joe Biden was president. That didn't actually happen. I don't know why you guys are misremembering this, but here's what happened. The Post, it claims that Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Nevada all have Democratic governors. This is true. Governor Tony Evers of Wisconsin, Governor Gretchen Whitmer of Michigan, Governor Tom Wolf of Pennsylvania, Governor Roy Cooper of North Carolina, and Governor Steve Sisolak of Nevada are all Democrats. The Post start with the claim that these 5 states took a 3-hour shutdown in which they found enough votes for Biden to catch Trump. There's no evidence to show that any of these states took a 3-hour break from counting voting. Wisconsin did not stop counting on election night. In Elections Update video posted on YouTube by PBS NewsHour, Megan Wolf, administrator of the Wisconsin Election Commission, can be heard saying at the 1 hour, 18-minute mark, our municipal and county clerks have worked tirelessly throughout the night to make sure that every valid ballot has been counted and reported accurately. Michigan did not stop counting ballots. PolitiFact reported that Tracy Wimmer, Director of Media Relations for the Michigan Secretary of State, said at no point has the counting process stopped since it began at 7 a.m. yesterday morning, November 3rd, which was when, per Michigan election law, it could begin. Misunderstandings over tally updates stopping temporarily on election night in Philadelphia are explained in Reuters fact check here. North Carolina did stop counting votes on election night, but it was not due to voter fraud. Local television station WSOC TV reported that Karen Brinson Bell, executive director of the state elections board, said North Carolina stopped counting votes on election night because there were no more votes to count that night. With very few exceptions, North Carolina election results will not change until November 12th or 13th, when all the mail-in ballots are received and counted by each county. The Nevada Secretary of State raised a statement explaining that the state did not stop counting ballots and that the counting ballots is ongoing and will continue until every cast ballot is counted here. What happened is all the mail-in ballots started coming in and being counted, unsealed from the boxes. And they were overwhelmingly for Joe Biden. Now, typically, they lean heavier blue than they do red. But even more so in 2020, because Donald Trump told people not under any, he did later retract this, but he didn't get as much media attention. He told them not under any circumstances to mail in vote. Then, like a couple weeks later, after that statement, he said, well, if it's the only way you can vote, yeah, you should still vote mail in. But that didn't get nearly as much press as him telling people not, because they're like, he's insane. Anyways, back to this lady.
What he's being accused of, but what part do you think is to answer that the 2020 election is going to be litigated because of this? They've made a huge, huge mistake with this one, because even though we thought what was going to happen was they were going to go after him for treason or sedition, but they did criminally charge him, but they didn't go to that extreme. As a result, he has due process, so he can subpoena people and bring things in. Now, let me say something about this 2020 election, is that Biden is a legitimate president, but he's a legitimate president of what is now the bankrupt U.S. corporation.
Okay.
And that was a treaty in 1871. Well, on September 12th, 2018, Trump created an executive order.
This is what makes me think that this lady is lying. I don't think she's dumb enough to read the 1871 treaty and think that that made the United States a corporation. I don't think she's that dumb. Right? I don't think she genuinely believes that. I think her part is to play this role and spread some doubt or whatever, right? And that's what she's going to do. I don't think she's that dumb. I think she can read the same thing I can, right? And that she knows that this isn't true. Here's what this says. A claim that Philadelphia stopped counting mail-in ballots on election night has been circulating online that is incorrect. Philadelphia did not stop counting votes on the night of November 3rd. The claim was made by a New York Post headline here and echoed by social media users here and here. The confusion seemed to originate on Twitter when independent reporter Max Marin, who is based in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, tweeted at 9:30 p.m., "No more mail-in ballot results tonight." Marin's tweet was quoted in the New York Post article headlined, "Philadelphia stops counting mail-in ballots for the night." Marin has since said on Twitter that he deleted his original tweet to avoid any further confusion and emphasized in another tweet that counting goes on 24/7, but the results are not constantly updated. You wouldn't get any more results the rest of the night. Ballot counting in Philadelphia is live streamed on YouTube. You can watch it. At Al Schmidt, Pennsylvania City Commissioner responsible for elections and voter registration, tweeted at 3 a.m. on November 4th, "Philadelphia will not stop counting until all legitimate votes cast by eligible voters, and we will report until the last vote is counted." He added an hour later that Philadelphia had updated its results page to include more than 65,000 mail-in votes, with many more to count. Philadelphia did not stop counting mail-in votes on election night. Ballots were and continue to be counted 24/7. There was a pause only in updating the results. The article was produced. That's just the end of the article. Let me see this. He even, the guy who they all cited about this, even apologized and said, "Oh, I didn't mean to cause confusion. I didn't mean they actually stopped counting. When I said there will be no more results tonight, I meant that they're not updating the results." No more mail-in ballot results tonight. Not they stop. That doesn't even say they stopped counting. They didn't even say they fucking stopped counting. Let's see. Deleted an earlier tweet to avoid any further confusion. The votes continued. Final tweet to clarify that city commissioners expect to provide another mail-in ballot count update between midnight and 1 a.m. So that would no longer be tonight. That would technically be tomorrow. And then there will be further updates tomorrow at 9 a.m., 3 p.m., and 9 p.m.
Within that, he outlined in future...
Yeah, there was a bunch of states that wanted to start counting mail-in ballots earlier because usually, I don't know if you guys know this, usually we don't get the official results for a while after the election ends, right? Even though there's typically, we know who won because there's not going to be enough margin in the last of the mail-in ballots, but it takes them a while to get them all in, get them all counted and stuff. It's like days, right? So typically we don't have the official numbers for a while, but usually it's like let's say there's 10,000 outstanding votes and someone won by 25,000. It doesn't matter. We can call that a winner, right? But it takes some time. Now, because there were so many mail-in ballots from COVID, a lot of states wanted to start counting early. But they held to whatever the Constitution said, whatever the rules said. If they were allowed to start counting early, they did. But most of the places, all the places that I know of, they would not let them start counting mail-in ballots earlier.
Elections, any kind of foreign or domestic interference, specifically for the 2020 election. So we say, how did he know some of these things were going to happen? Election integrity.
Yes, Biden got over 81 million votes.
On both sides of the aisle is tough.
And those votes weren't, "I love Biden, let me go vote." They hated fucking Trump. They hated Trump. They hated his policies. They hated what he was trying to do with America, and they voted for the other guy. It could have been a fucking popsicle stick man. It's really tough. But what this has done is it's opened the door for Trump to present his case. Oh, so this, now listen, her claim is that they are coming after Trump for lying about the election and it being stolen. And this opens it up for him to present his case. But what did he actually do? What did he actually do? He didn't open it up. He didn't subpoena witnesses. He didn't play his case. He said, "I'm immune. You can't criminally charge me. I was president. I'm immune." So this woman says they fucked up going after him for this case about lying about the election. Now he could call in all his witnesses and Space Force and the DOD, and we have it all. Which would have been amazing, right? Instead, he said, "I'm immune." I think it's your deranged worship that's bothering us.
That's a good thing.
Me too. Well, not this one, Nurse Julie, not this. But when the election first happened, I believed this shit too. I was like, there's no way these big name people that we all know, that we all trust, would come out and lie. They have to know something, have evidence of something, see something, be able to prove something. And then every fucking road, I was getting so goddamn mad because Trump and his people would tell me this happened. And I would start researching it, and I'm like, that didn't fucking happen. Or this is the reason this is happening. No, that's not the reason that happened. Every fucking time, every goddamn time they said something, I tried to research it so I could prove it to my audience. Then I'd be like, what the fuck? That didn't even happen. This didn't happen. That didn't happen. They just kept spewing it out. And I thought, these people have too much to lose. They're lawyers and politicians and high up in government agencies or whatever. But they were willing to put it all on the line. I don't know what the fuck they were promised. Fucking golden showers for life. I don't know what they were promised. But they risked it all and they fucking lost. None of them can even practice law anymore.
On both sides of the aisle is tough. It's really tough. But what this has done is it's opened the door for Trump to present his case.
Well, that's a good thing, isn't it? Because, what...
This has opened the door for Trump to present his case. Here was his case. I'm immune. It isn't as bad as Giuliani saying, yeah, so what? I lied. It's my First Amendment. I ruined these people's lives. I lied about suitcases under tables. I lied about the ballots and them recounting it and lied about them cheating and sending people home. By the way, even in Georgia, everybody likes to cite Georgia. Like they sent the ballot watchers home and told them they weren't counting. No one told them that. No one told them that. No one sent anybody home. Actually, they just kept counting ballots. Some of the watchers left. Some more showed up at like midnight and kept watching. There was probably like an hour where they were counting without people there watching them, but they're not even required by law to have ballot watchers. They just left of their own volition. No one sent them home. No one told them to go home. The media stayed there. Every time I looked up one of their claims, it was all bullshit. And I was getting so goddamn tired of it. And then you go to ask people, and they're just like, well, Trump said it. Have you seen this video? Yeah, but if you just watch that video like 30 minutes prior, you can see what's actually going on.
We see on this side of the pond is a very difficult situation where the legal system is politicized in the United States, which is abhorrent to us over here. So the fact that Trump can subpoena, some people saying it's a mistake by Jack Smith, but actually he can subpoena, people can actually see evidence from both sides. That's a sensible move.
Exactly.
That's what should have happened, right? We say the federal government says that Trump knew he lost the election and still tried to play it as if he thought he knew it was stolen, as if he had evidence, as if he could prove it, as if people should do something about it on January 6th and the slate of electors. That's what should have happened. He should have presented his evidence. This is what I believed. This is the evidence I have. This is why I believed it. These are the people that told me that it was true. These are the people that told me they had evidence or knew about cheating or what happened. But instead, he said, I'm immune.
And it's a great mistake by Jack Smith that he's done that. Absolutely great. See, the thing is, think about Edward Snowden and all the information he had. Think about the fact that our military.
Yeah, so I wish we could reach more people. I'm not, I guess where I don't know. I supported Trump in the past, and I guess I'm not left enough for like the left. But all of the right is in Trump worship. Like none of them will fucking watch me. People are like, I'll never watch you again. You say Trump lost. Well, he fucking lost. What do you want me to say?
Our Department of Defense Space Force. If you think that they don't have the actual real results from.
All right, so she says the Department of Defense, the U.S. Army, the Space Force, our military, they have the real results. It's just they can't produce them. And when you ask them why they can't produce them, they'll say, oh, the time isn't right. Just wait. You'll see. You're wrong, Will. Just wait. It would have started a civil war.
From the election, then you're fooling yourself.
Yeah, but what we do know with this is we're told that there are plenty of notes from people, including Vice President Pence, that there are some recordings of Donald Trump acknowledging that actually what he said in public was nonsense, that some of these...
Did you hear that? There are recordings, statements, and people testifying that Donald Trump knew what he was saying was a lie, but he was going to ride it out until the end. He was literally asking people around him, how do I stay in office? Even though I thought I lost, even though I know I lost, how do I stay in office? Which is terrifying, especially when he says stuff like, now, people are going to say he meant, like, if you vote this time, I'm going to... So Donald Trump said, you need to vote for me and you'll never have to vote again. Now, the right is defending that by saying, oh, he means he'll fix all the election fraud so many people won't have to come out and to overcome the... But there is an election fraud. There isn't this massive scale of election fraud, right? There isn't this gigantic fucking thing he's got to clear up or no Republican can ever win. So what is he... And he knows that. He knows that. He's told people. He knows. So what's he really talking about? I could understand if he really thought he was being cheated and he's like, I need the Christians to come out and vote because that's the only way we could overcome the cheating. But he doesn't. He knows he lost. He knows there was no cheating or fucking bullshit or fraud. So what's he really saying when he says, come out and vote? I promise if you vote for me this time, you'll never have to vote again. What does that mean?
States, whether he claimed he was out saying it's... I mean, look, Detroit is...
I know what the electoral count reform and presidential transition, I think is what it's called, Improvement Act. I know what it is. So basically, there's a couple tenets to it, and it's to keep from what happened in 2020 from happening again. Okay. So the law says that the governor is responsible for submitting these certificates. And these certificates are what basically says what the electorate... So the governor hears from the legislator and the vote count, and they submit these certificates that basically say that this is our slate of electors by the popular vote in the town, okay? And that deals away with the dual slate of electors. Anybody can be an elector, and there has to be this certificate done. What? I'm live on a fucking show. I don't care.
All right, love you.
What? Okay. It doesn't run on battery. It's plugged into the electrical system. Thanks for the update. When the power goes out. Anyways, back to the show. So they select electors by popular vote, right? And those have to be certified. There's this, I forget what they call it, a certificate of ascertainment or certificate of compliance. I forget. Anyways, there's a certificate. And that is, the certificate goes with the slate of electors, and that's due. If there is a claim by one of the competitors that something else has happened, right? They've cheated, they've whatever. Then the United States District Court of the Federal Judicial District, where the state capital is located, is the venue for that case. So cases aren't spread out all over different counties and different precincts and different everything, right? and the court is to expedite all their any action that's going to be taken. So, right, we're going to go through this as quickly as possible and get through these court proceedings. Then there's a part for Congress that it's the vice president's role to count the electoral votes, and that's it. You don't determine, you don't accept, you don't reject, you don't. So they just clarified what we all already knew, but Donald Trump was trying to lean heavily on it. It doesn't say you can't do this, right? And that the money, that they're going to release the money in a timely manner because Donald Trump was withholding transitional funds from Joe Biden, so they're going to release. That's all it says.
Corrupt, it's all corrupt, the results are corrupt, and that when in reality he knew it wasn't. That's illegal.
But you know what? That's what someone's claiming, but that's not the fact. And
You have to be a citizen to vote. There's not this influx of illegals voting. It just doesn't happen.
that's not what Donald Trump really has ever said. He's been very, very clear. I mean, the issues were, for example, in Pennsylvania,
If Donald Trump wins, he's not going to have any restraint being like liable to his to the people who voted for him, right? Because he can't be elected again, allegedly, right? If he loses, it's gonna be fucking chaos. Everybody screaming they cheated here, we watched them there. My the My Pillow guy flying his goddamn drones around everywhere. It's gonna be chaos, and we know that everybody that stood beside Trump after the last election, everybody that stood by Trump, we know that they'll lie. They'll say whatever he wants to, whatever he wants them to. They'll lie right to your fucking face about it. So you can't trust any of them. That was the point of open borders. It's not. You have to be a U.S. citizen to vote.
Supreme Court of the state.
Show me where they're attempting to change it. Show me that law where it says all illegal immigrants, federal, can vote.
Pennsylvania stepped in and changed some of the election laws. Under our Constitution, it's only the state legislators that can do that. 2,000 Mules, the film that came out, what they did, they spent over $4 million tracking the phones. And the reason it's only 2,000 mules is that based on the visits to the drop boxes in Georgia, they had to.
And this was wildly inaccurate. Listen, the only reason to put a drop box is because it's a high traffic area. That's the only reason to even have one, right? The only benefit to have one is because a lot of people pass it. So on their way to work or school or their job or whatever, they can drop off their ballots rather than having to go to an actual poll place. Whether you like them or not, that's the reason for them. So if I'm going to go to a ballot box because it's on my way to work to drop off my ballots, it's literally on my way to work. How often do you think I'm going to pass that ballot box? All the fucking time. All the fucking time. Literally, the producers of the movie will not even stand by the claims made in the movie anymore. They're being sued. They were brought up in court and said, "Oh, we can't show you our data." Why? Well, we don't really have it. What?
To have gone over 10 times. And they've got all the film for that. So the thing is that
I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're a Trumper or Q or whatever the fuck you want to call yourself. I don't care. You have to be a U.S. citizen to vote. And there is no evidence of tons of illegal enough to even fucking change the election outcome of illegal immigrants voting.
the election integrity is so different and so problematic in every single state.
Oh, so every state's different. Now we got to get to the point of it takes a lot of time to prove it. The military had to do it.
Every single state. But that doesn't mean that the machines didn't do something, that there were some other kind of finagling. But the long and short... Go ahead.
Well, it doesn't, but that's where conspiracy comes in, is it? To say, well, it doesn't mean that something didn't happen. Well, there's no evidence that it
He called you nuts. I agree.
Happened.
So I don't
There's
know.
how many court cases did the Trump campaign try to bring? Nothing's gone in his favour.
Okay, wait a minute. Everyone, the media goes, oh, there were 60 court cases that were rejected. No.
Even Trump's own people that he hired for the audit in Arizona said there was no significant fraud. Actually, when they recounted the votes in Arizona, Joe Biden got more votes. It wasn't a big amount, right? It wasn't a big amount. Even the people he hired said that. And someone in my Twitter feed today was like, I was part of the audit in Arizona. There was definitely fraud. If you were part of it, I'm imagining at the lowest of low level. Either you're lying or you were like literally somebody that looked at the ballots and counted, made a tally mark. But you're telling me the company said there was no fraud, but you saw it personally.
There were 3. He won 2. He lost 1. 57 were never heard because they had no standing. And standing means that the person bringing the case has to claim some kind of impact or injury. So it's real.
No, there's no non-citizens that can ever vote in a presidential election. There are areas that have been trying to let non-citizens in their populace vote on local referendums and shit. No non-citizen can vote in U.S. presidential election.
The media did that, and they're great at doing that, but it was a fallacy in there. And
federal or state. That includes permanent legal residents. Even if you're a permanent resident, you cannot vote. You have to be a citizen.
the thing is that, I sit on a task force at the Department of Defense, and the thing is, they've got the goods. They've got the goods, and Trump knew that if he presented any of the goods early on, we'd have a civil war. That he really felt that the people needed to see how bad it could get.
And that's the sense that we're getting from Trump.
So it would have been a civil war if he'd have showed that he actually won. So people just had to see how bad it could actually get. Trump did this to us.
Trump's lawyer about what his defense is going to be. So this is all going to be based on free speech, the First Amendment in the US Constitution, that he had a right to say what he believed, and he believed that the election results were not as was put out. But the point is, if you live in a democracy and you believe in a democracy, then that means that even if you don't like the outcome of an election, you respect that because it's a democratic vote.
Well, a democratic vote, and so therefore he should be silent about it.
So he has a right to speak, but the issue, of course, is if he then acts to subvert that election result.
Oh, so that because you think he's being criticized because in Georgia he said, "Can you find me 12,000 votes?"
Yes. The Raffensperger call was wildly outside of what should be acceptable behavior from a politician. Look, find me the votes. I don't care. Find them. It's 11,000 votes. That's wildly, we should never accept that from a politician. I can't believe I wasn't more upset. Back at the time, I supported Trump, and I was like, oh, well, he probably had a reason for this or a reason for that, or maybe he actually meant, it doesn't matter. He should have never made that phone call.
Or, the thing is, he didn't try to subvert anything. What he's really done is he set up the deep state to come out, and that's why we're seeing all these things. I mean, it was revealed with whistleblowers.
Almost every election ends up with the people getting more. When you say got more votes than ever, it's been trending that way for the last fucking 15 elections. There's more people and more people vote. It's been trending that way for the last 50 because more people are eligible to vote. The population's growing. Donald Trump got more votes than everybody else, except for Joe Biden, because he lost. Here is a list of presidential candidates by votes in one election. Joe Biden, Donald Trump, Barack Obama set 2 records. Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump, George Bush, Mitt Romney, John McCain, John Kerry, Ronald Reagan, Al Gore, George Bush. It's always trending that way. Unless we have an election where people just hate both fucking candidates, it's always trending that way. So when you say something like, I can't believe Joe Biden got more votes than anybody in history, it's why not? It's always been trending that way. Did you think like Abraham Lincoln had like 80 million because everybody loved him, but then Joe Biden somehow gets 81 million? And that's just crazy? No, more people vote every election cycle.
And Hunter Biden's ex-best friend, that in 2015, the head of Burisma gave Joe and Hunter Biden $10 million bribe. In 2018, Joe is on TV publicly saying that he threatened that unless they got the prosecutor fired, that he wasn't going to let them have their $1
I don't give a fuck. Don't announce when you leave. Fuck Trump and fuck you for hating Trump hate. I don't care. Don't ever come back if that's your deal.
billion in support. In 2019, Trump calls...
The Kraken was a crazy podcaster named Tori Says. Sidney Powell admitted that's who her Kraken was. And then that she had been maybe potentially lied to. She was 100% lied to. That was the Kraken.
Burisma gave Joe and Hunter Biden $10 million bribe. In 2018, Joe is on TV publicly saying that he threatened that unless they got the prosecutor fired, that he wasn't going to let them have their $1 billion in support. In 2019, Trump calls Zelensky to find out about what went on to get the prosecutor fired, and
there is a wide distance in these two things. If we have someone who's clearly taking bribes or doing something within the government that is way outside the line of something that we would support, like it doesn't matter if it's the president, the attorney general, or whatever of another country, and we're like, hey, there's a lot of things going on. We know this, you know this. You got to get rid of some of this. You got to get rid of some of this corruption. And hey, I think something's going on over there with my the person I'm running against. Why don't you dig me up some dirt against them so I can use it? Bye.
he gets impeached.
I'll hold my breath.
We've lived with it for a long time.
We're almost out of time. I just want to pick you up on one thing you said earlier on. Donald Trump has been
I love this show, but the Trump hate gets so tiresome. Good night. Bitch, maybe you should hate Trump a little bit more. God damn. I hope you don't have a fucking daughter or granddaughter sitting here fucking defending Trump. Eat a bag of dicks.
very clear on this. Is he a man that you believe? I mean, look, he's about as believable as a chocolate teapot, isn't he?
Look, I know that. Oh, thank God you.
Clear on this.
For a long time.
We're almost out of time. I just want to pick you up on one thing you said earlier on. Donald Trump has been very clear on this. Is he a man that you believe? I mean, look, he's about as believable as a chocolate teapot, isn't he?
Oh, no. He's about, I don't know. This must be a hell of a slam wherever the fuck they're at. As believable as a chocolate teapot.
Look,
Oh, I got some Norse sound effects. They're all King of the Hill themed.
The audacity!
know that. Oh, thank God you got the negativity in at the end and not the beginning. I can always count on.
I've tried. So look, here's what I've tried to do. I followed Trump at one time and supported Trump and believed a lot of this bullshit and would make excuses in my head for a lot of the shit he said and a lot of the shit he did. Then after he lost the election, I believed that something was going on. that maybe it was impropriety, maybe it was outright fraud, maybe it's something. And I tried my best to find, this is what I do. I do research. I tried my best to find any fucking proof of any of the shit he said. And every time I hit a fucking dead end. Every time. Every claim that was made, it was a fucking lie. Every video they showed you only a portion of it, which completely explained in a different portion, but they didn't show you that portion. Every fucking time. So I've tried to be like, you know, you can do this, you can do that. Well, let's not be too upset, blah, blah, blah. Fuck Trump and fuck you for voting for him. I don't know how else to put it. He tried to stay in office after he knew he lost the election. Then he tried to get his followers to stop the certification of the first time ever that someone's tried to stop the peaceful the peaceful transfer of power. And then when he actually has to face those consequences for what he fucking did, and telling everybody it was stolen, telling him he had all the evidence. We caught him red-handed. They cheated. Nobody's ever seen so much fraud in an election. When it's time to face that consequence, he said, I'm immune?
On you for that, always.
But it's a legitimate point to say that Donald Trump is a man who always speaks the truth. That can't be the case. I mean, it's hardly
Donald Trump is a man that always speaks the truth. That can't be the case.
the case of any leader, to be fair, but I mean, definitely not Donald Trump.
Well, I don't know if I said everything or always, because I do call him the embellisher in chief, because he's a marketer. But
so she said everything that Trump says, he's a man of truth. Everything he says is true. Then she said, I also call him the embellisher in chief because he's a marketer. I'm more mad that I supported him and believed his claims before researching them than I am at anybody else. Like, I should have been smarter than that. I should have known better than that. I should have checked into him before I repeated them, before I believed him, before I stated them. He'll never get my fucking vote again. And as long as the Republican Party is trending towards this, we're going to make it great, and we're going to have the best economy, and no fucking plan whatsoever, it'll be great. You'll see. Just vote for me. It'll be awesome. And Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert and those fucking nut jobs, they'll never have my vote. Ever.
always, because I do call him the embellisher in chief, because he's a marketer. But in terms of telling us things, optics, you better believe that he's very much a straight shooter in terms of actions that he's going to take or what he thinks needs to be done. You know, they made fun of him because they assumed he broke protocol and walked in front of the Queen. No, if you go back and look at it, you will see he looked at her. She gave a wave with her hand. He proceeded.
So this is the woman who is going to set me straight on the election fraud, and she's worried about Trump walking in front of it. They made fun of him because he walked in front of the Queen.
She took a couple of steps, he stopped, and he waited for her to join. That was an optic to tell us that he then was going to bankrupt the U.S. corporation.
Okay, so she's a fucking lunatic. She's a full-blown fucking lunatic. Trump acts like he's this bastion of freedom from Big Pharma. No one has ever made Big Pharma more wealthy than Donald Trump.
Because it was the Vatican, the Crown, and the U.S. that was part since 1871. And we were giving you our tax dollars. We were paying back. You know, forget this Tea Party and without taxation, without representation.
I don't know who GBN is, but they should have never had this lady on.
We owed you a lot of money because you helped us in the Civil War. And so...
This was all recently. I know you said she's been debunked like 3 years ago. This was after he got charged with all the shit in Washington, D.C. about the election that he got the immunity plea for.
Oh, that is what Trump has now, he told the Queen, I'm ending this. We're dissolving this corporation. We're going to go back to being a republic and we'll all be separate. The Pope wasn't happy. You should find the picture of him visiting the Pope. It took 650 planes to remove our gold from the Vatican Bank.
I'm not very
So she just watches Charlie Ward, apparently.
happy about it, Jan, to be perfectly honest. We could do with your money at the minute. Keep it flowing, I say. Jan Halper-Hayes, really good to see you. Thank you very much indeed.
You too.
So this was what was supposed to make me change my mind. I don't usually mess with those never Trumpers, but here, watch, this will set you straight. She's
let's talk to Jan
DOD.
Hayes, who's a US political analyst. And
This was supposed to convince me. This was your guy, not OpQ. This is the person they tapped in to fix me because I said Trump lost and tried to steal the election. MAGA's fucking wild, dude. MAGA's oh, and then to put icing on the cake after he spread all these conspiracies and it was like, and it told me I need to, I don't usually waste my time on people with TDS, but here you go, from DOD source Dr. Jan. Then they added the icing on top of the cake was, then do yourself a favor and look into the Kraken and quit being so ignorant. They shared this post with me. The Kraken. I can't believe people believe this bullshit.
It is absolutely vital because this is the first time I believe that General Flynn has been able to speak publicly and in such an environment. And so I want to thank you, Banyan, for setting this up. I know Mary talked to you, and it's very important what you are doing tonight because it is a fast-moving train. And that's why I wanted you to do it because we are seeing the most unprecedented...
Wait. Here's a clip of her talking about tribunals.
We are waiting for people to get their due. Sometimes you have to see how horrible they really are before they get cut off at the knees. And
she's got to be getting paid for this, or she's lost her fucking touch. She's lost any grasp she had on reality.
That's what happened to McCarthy. So I take that example. It might not be a tribunal. It might not be all of our Navy ships off the coast of Japan and Australia and here in the UK and the Mediterranean where the tribunals are going on right now. But we will see signs like that. And it is those actualities that you can take for hope and belief we're getting there. We are waiting for people to get their...
Wow.
...situation in the history of America. This is the most dangerous situation since the Civil War of keeping this nation united. And why do I say that? The Civil War, it was just warfare. Today, you and General Flynn talked about cyber warfare. And cyber warfare is hidden. It's mystical. You don't see it coming.
Cyber warfare is mystical. This is the guy you're going to trust with anything to do with technology. It's mystical. The internet is magic from God.
And all of a sudden, 138,000 votes or 150,000 votes. All of a sudden, they show up. And because we're looking at computers, we assume they're all legitimate. But in this particular case, they are not legitimate. And because of what Sidney Powell has been doing, who was General Flynn's lawyer, and...
Basically, if you just search GB News, it says, inside GB News, misinformation factory. GB News is not impartial. Ofcom says GB News is not impartial. It seems like no one trusts GB News. They'll just have any fucking psychopath on without validating anything.
What she submitted in the state of Georgia and Michigan on Wednesday night, the night before Thanksgiving, we got a document in those lawsuits.
I'm really worried. Trump has already said, vote for me, you'll never have to vote again. Knowing that there's not this gigantic amount of election fraud. Like, are there ballots that sometimes slip through? Sure. They're such a small fucking number. Most of them are caught. Most of the people, we've even seen people get caught, try to submit multiple ballots or lie on ballots or whatever. Not enough to change the outcome of an election. He knows that there's not this fraud, but he's telling people you have to vote now so I can fix the fraud. He's already said that when they ask him, will you accept the results of the election? He's like, sure, if it's fair. He's already setting up for a round 2 of 2020, and I'm terrified what'll happen if he fucking loses. Terrified of what he'll do.
From a Dr. Naveed Kishavaritz-Nia, who is a 59-year-old resident of California who spent 40 years almost in the D.C. metropolitan area as a career.
Yeah, we know who McInerney is. We've covered him a couple times before. Even his own, what's his son came out and is like, well, you know, he is in and out of dementia. I don't know if people should be listening to him.
Intelligence community expert. I won't go into his background very much, but because of this declaration.
There's also people that believe that McInerney and Flynn were in JFK Jr.'s plane when it went down. They found explosives in the plane. So instead of JFK Jr. and his family being in the plane, they hopped in it, hit the explosives just like the deep state wanted, but they parachuted out to safety to hide JFK's death. And I think he even like winks and nods to that shit. McInerney's a fucking idiot. I don't know. Anyways, MAGA is weird, is trending, and they're pretty fucking weird. It seems to be bothering them, though, that, oh, God. Here's this. Oh, wait. You're just telling me the army makes big Qs? It's not a Q. It's literally this symbol right here behind them. It's an arrow in a circle. This was their ringer. This is the guy that's gonna set me straight. I told them they were out of their fucking league, which they do have a shit ton more followers because Hopium sells. How many followers they got? They got 100,000 followers on Twitter. I have nowhere near that much. But there you go. That's them. Not OpQ, at not OpQ. That's who they tagged in. And then this person had the audacity to come back into my comment section and say this. Let me see if I can find it real quick. This is their comment. They come back when I was like, none of this is true. It's all been debunked. You're lying about this. I basically laid out everything that they were lying about. They come back in my chat and say this. As my late mother would say, quote, Will, you are a troublemaker with no proof of anything. Right? So they're saying, Will, my mother would say this. Will, you are a troublemaker with no proof of anything. Then in parentheses they put, do not disrespect my mother by a rude comment. So you have the audacity to come into my chat and tell me that I'm a troublemaker with no proof after disproving the guy you sent to prove me wrong. And then I can't fucking respond because your mom died and you attribute the comment to her? Who the fuck does that? Don't you dare try to wrangle me into a meme team. There's also a fake story going around about J.D. Vance and couches. Now, it's not true, as far as I can tell. It's not mentioned in his book anywhere. But apparently they're saying that there's a part of his book. I just think it's funny, where he talks about putting a latex glove and some lotion in between two couch cushions and fucking it. And it's in his book on like page 180 or whatever. It's not in there, right? But it's very funny, the memes and shit that are going around. It's like, do not show this couch to J.D. Vance. That looks like it's got a bunch of pussies on it. Guys tweet that J.D. Vance wrote a book about having sex with a rubber glove stuffed in between the cushions of a couch in Hillbilly Elegy as a joke. People believe it because it's a coming-of-age story, not that preposterous that a horny teen would try this. It goes viral. Memes about JD smashing a couch spread like wildfire. AP fact-checks the whole thing with the headline, no, JD Vance did not have sex with the couch. But I think that drives it even more because when I saw the headline, no, JD Vance did not have sex with the couch, I've never laughed harder. I've never laughed harder than that. Left's memes are getting good. Oh, no. not true, but it's hilarious. It makes me laugh. And the more I see headlines saying JD Vance did not have sex at the couch, the more I'm like, this is fucking hilarious.
Sucks so much that it says something that for a few days this week, the internet ran wild with a joke tweet that he was the first VP pick to have made it a New York Times bestseller to fucking an inside-out latex glove shoved between two couch cushions with a citation to a page number from his memoir. And look, let me be clear, that is not true. It is not in his book. But I think the reason it spread so fast might be that A, nobody read that fucking book, and B, it was incredibly easy to believe, because if you ask me to draw a man that fucks his couch, 10 times out of 10, I'm drawing this guy.
10 times out of 10, I'm drawing this guy.
If you ask me to play two truths and a lie with this man, before he even opened his mouth, I shout, the truth is he fucks his couch. I've never seen someone with more couch fucker energy. He looks like he watched the Tom Cruise Oprah interview and was jealous of Tom's shoes. If you told me that his first celebrity crush was the plastic sofa from Everybody Loves Raymond, I'd believe you without question. If you told me the reason you find coins in between couch cushions is because JD Vance always leaves a tip, I'd be like...
The reason you find coins in between couch cushions is because JD Vance always leaves a tip.
No! Yeah, that sounds right. That rumor was...
Anyways, again, it's not true. I'm not trying to tell you that it is true or it's a true story or it's in his book. It's just funny. JD Vance's ultra horny confession just came back to bite him. Also, there is a JD Vance, I guess, dolphin porn thing going around. He for some reason he may be into dolphin porn, as the couches and cat ladies weren't, as though couches and cat ladies weren't bad enough. JD Vance decides to add dolphin porn to his self-made weirdo persona. Didn't see that one coming. And it says, JD Vance ridiculed after dolphin-based social media post backfires. Now he's being mocked. So he made like a post about how it's crazy that, like this news article about a woman being satisfied by a dolphin and enjoying it. That was like a post he shared. And he's like, this is crazy, getting out of hand or whatever. Then people started to think, why the fuck is he searching for a woman getting fucked by a dolphin? That's kind of weird, right? Now, because he's being mocked in his own social media post because of a picture that he shared of a dolphin attempting to mate with a woman. And it says, maybe the internet was a mistake. So he said, maybe the internet was a mistake. So you're telling me that you just wandered on the internet and found a woman fucking a dolphin? No, you had to be looking for something. What were you looking for? And he posted Saturday with a picture which was captioned with "Woman gets violated by a dolphin and enjoys it." I'm sure Vance expected it just to be a funny joke. The problem, according to the commenters, is that the word woman and dolphin were highlighted in the image, showing that whoever took the screenshot searched for those exact terms. Oh, no. Oh, no. Wait, so JD Vance was searching for porn that featured dolphins and women, and then he posted a screenshot and didn't realize people could see his search history. Is that right? So the term, so just like the other day when someone showed a post, Derek Johnson, he's like, why is this highlighted? Why is this? It's because that's the term you search for, right? So apparently woman and dolphin were highlighted. So there it is. Woman gets violated by a dolphin and enjoys it. Maybe the internet was a mistake. So what the fuck was he searching for to get woman, dolphin, and to get dolphin porn? Reminder, JD Vance was caught searching the internet for woman, dolphin, and didn't realize he posted a picture with the highlighted search words. What kind of sick fuck gets off on shit like that? Jesus fucking Christ. That would be Jaco. Jaco can teach you where its fucking gills are. I wish mainstream media would ask him about. So we've heard that in your book. So right now, see, I typed in JD Vance. So right now, this word Vance is highlighted, and so is dolphin, because I typed in JD Vance dolphin. See the highlighted or the bold words? So he had to search woman dolphin for whatever reason. JD Vance when he sees a dolphin. Oh, no. When JD Vance goes to the beach, dolphins all like, this is going to be the wildest fucking election. We've got all the shit they say about Kamala. Then we got couches, couch fucking, dolphin porn. It's going to be wild, dude. Trump threatening to destroy everything we love about America. It's going to be crazy. You guys get your tickets now. Be in D.C. It's going to get wild. It's going to get wild. Why is JD Vance searching for dolphin porn? These guys are just creepy and weird. Creepy and weird. JD, we think it might be best if you stop talking. He shows up with... So he said that the country's being run by crazy cat ladies with nothing better to do, so they're trying to destroy the nation or whatever. The problem is, like, now you've pissed off people who can't have kids, right? Childless cat ladies. Yeah, now you pissed off people who can't have kids. JD Vance, please quit assaulting dolphins. Poor things have had to write a book about it. What was done to them? Can you stop? Please, no more dolphin porn. It's called Dolphin Diaries. Oh my God, they put him with a dolphin. It's even on a wave. Oh, yeah, let me find his quote. JD Vance. This guy can't keep his foot out of his mouth. This may have been the worst fucking VP pick of the century. Donald Trump on Monday defended his running mate's claims that childless cat ladies had destroyed American values, but also said he believed adults without children were just as good as parents. J.D. Vance's 2021 comment that Vice President Kamala Harris and other Democrats were a bunch of childless cat ladies miserable at their own lives resurfaced after Trump selected the Ohio senator as Republican vice presidential candidate. In a Fox News interview on Monday, Trump said that Mr. Vance likes families, but Trump also said he did not place a higher value on parenting. You know, you don't meet the right person or you don't meet any person, but you're just as good in many cases, a lot better than a person that's in a family situation. So Donald Trump's trying to play interference. Weirdest thing. Donald Trump is now telling people that they have to win without Fox News. And the reason he's saying that Fox News is bad now again, even though he just did an interview with Fox News, they're bad now again and we have to win without Fox, is because Fox News just shared a poll that they didn't even fucking do, right? They didn't fucking do. They just shared a poll that showed Kamala Harris winning or leading in some battleground states. And then he flipped out about it and said, why are they showing her speeches? We have to win without Fox News. They're part of the enemy now. I wanted to see this video if we can. Is this a video? Yeah. He's very mad at Fox News now.
As the CEO.
And another thing going on Twitter. Listen, make this make sense. Make this make sense to me, okay? Oh my God, Fat Tim Pool. Project 2025 and the Heritage Foundation, who Trump fully is friends with, supports, endorses until bad shit comes out, then he says he doesn't, is so fucking crazy and so wild and attached to Trump that the right wing has to invent a made-up project that the left wing is doing to make it seem like it's normal. Okay, Project 2025 is real. It's fucking wild. It's crazy, the stuff it claims. Trump A bunch of his fucking cabinet members are over there. A bunch of his staffers, a bunch of people that are helping him are even doing commercials for it. He spoke at their event, great friends with them, loves everything they do, until bad news comes out about it. And he's like, I don't even know who that is. I've never heard of them. Who's that? I hope they have good luck. That's so wild that Tim Pool is out here tweeting this. Kamala's Project Special K makes Project 2025 look like daycare. She will force women to get abortions, send military to kidnap poor Hondurans and make them live in your homes, and she will start 800 new wars, God help us. So they have to make something up that seems even remotely as bad as Project 2025, which is a real fucking thing. How does that help Tim Pool or the right? Then people are like, why did you tweet this? He's like, maybe one day you'll have 2 million Twitter followers.
Hiring conservatives, that
certainly the president, we have to back up and explain how the executive branch functions. But the president is entitled to have a loyal, committed group that's, believing in the agenda that the people just voted for.
Right. But you don't go down to IRS agents or FBI agents and make them declare their loyalty to you to keep their job.
That's kind of
right. But when he shows that line and says conservatives hiring conservatives, that is an excerpt from Project 2025.
It looked like it was lifted from a local news affiliate.
Yeah, it was not lifted from actually Project.
So much of what they do is misinformation. It's the characterization in the press that they just.
You're right. This is not even from Project 2025.
Right. The word loyal is in quotes, meaning it's probably
no. Army is in quotes.
Oh, sorry.
But then you can see this. This is not a quote from Project 2025. It's a quote from KTVB7, to which it says an army of loyal conservatives, and then Colbert changes it to MAGA loyalists. Mm-hmm. So they are creating this runaway. It's the purple monkey.
Yeah, they took away loyal to the president and added them with conservatives or MAGA loyalists, but it's the same fucking thing.
Monkey dishwasher from The Simpsons, for those that are familiar. I think it was Purple Monkey Dishwasher, where the joke is the game of telephone. Bart says to one person, Skinner wants to fire the teachers or whatever, and then they all whisper in each other's ear, and then eventually it makes to the top, and they say, he's going to fire us, Purple Monkey Dishwasher? What?
Tim's so cool. His beanie may be a little top, but he's so fucking cool. I wish I could be like Pim Tool. I don't think most conservatives get this comedy routine that this woman's doing. So it basically says, imagine being 42, child-free, stress-free, and being this happy. The right hates me. She just dancing to some fucking, what is that, Black Eyed Peas or some shit? I don't think they get that this is comedy, like satire, like a skit. But they're very upset about it. And guess what? The Quartering retweeted it. Of course he did. Jeremy from The Quartering, he had to retweet it. He has to retweet everything. I don't know. I feel like I'm losing my mind with people trying to... Stuff that's been widely debunked, they're still trying to spread it. Stuff like the Italian satellite that flips votes. People talking about six million fucking planes to bring the gold from the Vatican. I don't know. I'm losing faith in humanity. I did find this channel, which is pretty funny. This guy makes fun of this guy. This channel's really good. This guy talks shit about all of the Joe Rogan orbiters, including Kill Tony. He makes rap songs about it. It's pretty good.
Moments where on Rogan's podcast, there's Ari Shaffir, Tom Segura, Bert Kreischer, and they're all talking about how great Kill Tony is and how fun I am at making fun of people and how funny the band is and being silly and hilarious.
I said, ooh, kill him, who? Tony, murder that faggot, he too phony. Ride around 6 with a pistol on me, you a mark, you a lil jabroni. Host an open mic, you a lame-o. And it's not a podcast, it's a game show. Fuck around, I'ma take you where you can't go. Better change your name and lay low like a Jane Doe. Cuck, bitch. All I wanna do is get rich. Yeah, spend all this shit on my homies. I ain't
It does use some homosexual slurs.
kiss up to a bitch. Nah, cause the bitch gon' do something for me. All I wanna do is stay real.
The guy's name is Crack Amico.
Ain't never control me, and I've been killing everybody else. Bitch, it's time to kill phony. I did it again. I'm draining your body and wearing your skin. I'm up in your crib. I'm tying up children and smoking your family and friends. I'm raping and penetrating until I break.
So not only did he make one about 2 bears, 1 cave, but he made one about 2 bears, 1 cave. It was called 2 bears, 1 grave. And then he did an apology video because Bert Kreischer actually saw the video and said it was really good, but, you know, he didn't like it because it made fun of him, but it was really well done, blah, blah, blah. And he made an apology to Bert Kreischer and almost got invited on their tour. And his plan was, the apology was fake. Everything was fake. He was recording in the background. The plan was to go out on tour with them and do the 2 bears, 1 grave rap. The guy's name is Crack Amico. You should check him out on YouTube or something. I don't know. I'm about to give up on everything. I'm voting for a meteor strike. A meteor strike 2024.
I recently showed you this video of a Billings, Montana police officer arresting a man for failing to ID with no actual crime existing. I called the department and a sergeant essentially told me, "F you, if you don't like what we do, sue the taxpayer." It's been my experience after years of doing this that when there's a department with such blatant disregard for law and order, there's usually
it does kind of suck that your only course of action a lot of times is to sue the department, and that comes from the taxpayers' money, right?
a lot more going on. The following day, somebody sent me this video showing that Billings, Montana police, as well as other departments in the area, have been getting away with committing blatant crimes on and off of the clock for a long time. This video shows a Billings police officer and a Yellowstone County sheriff's deputy picking fights with people outside of a bar. They stand in the middle of a parking lot and yell at people and kick their cars as they go by. Then when one...
Wow. What, they're off-duty cops drunk at a bar and kicking cars and picking fights and shit?
Person stopped to mouth back off to them, they beat the shit out of him.
Get the fuck out of the way, an unknown voice replies, really, or what? Or what? Officer Frank then knees the driver's side door. So they're standing literally in the road. These are cops. These are off-duty cops. Frank is seen setting down a bottle. He and Deputy Smart then reach into the driver's side window and start wrestling with Delgado. Don't fucking pull a gun, you fucking idiot. Are you fucking kidding me? They just beat... The guy didn't even get out of the car. Third unidentified man opens the passenger door as an unknown voice says, "Get out. Police." Delgado's passenger then exits the vehicle, and the unidentified man takes his place in the passenger seat. This is wild. This is going on. This is just 12 days old video.
Get out of here, Pep. Get out of here.
Smart staggers away from Malibu, apparently hurt. Frank starts throwing punches at Delgado. He shot you? Well, you're beating the fuck out of him, dude. I'd start shooting you. And remember, there's someone in this passenger seat doing God knows what. He shot him in the face. Frank opens the driver's side door and attempts to pry Delgado out of the car. Delgado accelerates out of the lot with a third man still in his car. Holy shit. The third man rolls out of the Malibu before it turns onto Grand Avenue. Sorry, I didn't catch all that. At approximately 12:49 a.m. Now all the cops are going to show up and cover for him, I'm sure. People filter in and out of the grandstand for several minutes. Multiple people check on Deputy Smart. Here we go. Where's the cover-up? Delgado drives back in the parking lot. According to Delgado's attorney, he returned to pick up his passenger. People appear panicked and rush back into the bar. Uh-oh. They done fuck around and found out the wrong one, didn't they? Smart attempts to run after the vehicle. An unidentified person tries to hold him back. The Malibu turns back on Grand Avenue. At least 5 police cruisers follow Delgado. Officers not involved in the incident arrive at Grandstand minutes later and begin their investigation. The unedited version of the videos can be found on the Billings Gazette's YouTube channel. At least the news is calling them out, I guess.
Immediately following the incident, the Billings, Montana police chief offered this narrative to the media. An off-duty Yellowstone County deputy was injured in a shooting at the Grandstand Casino in Billings early Saturday morning. During a press conference Saturday, Billings police chief said a group of off-duty officers were socializing at the casino. Around 12:45, an officer with the Billings Police Department and a Yellowstone County deputy, along with a civilian, left the casino and were talking in the parking lot. Shortly after, a maroon Chevy Malibu with 2 people inside entered the parking lot, stopping near the group and exchanging words before the driver brandished a handgun. Chief St.
Before the driver brandished a handgun. The first thing he did was say, get the fuck out of the way, and then they attacked his car and started wailing on his ass.
John says the officers and deputy reached into the car.
Yeah, that was wild. That lady clearly was not a threat to those officers. And then not only did they fucking shoot her in the head after he said, I'm going to shoot you in the fucking face, his partner wants to render aid. He's like, no, she's gone. She's gone.
To try to get the weapon while the civilian went to the passenger side of the car and got the second person out before trying to control the gun from the other side. During the struggle, it was reported the driver fired 1 shot and the deputy was hit in the face with what is currently believed to be a bullet fragment. The deputy reeled back and believing he was shot.
A bullet fragment. By the way, Trump, 14 days later, and Trump seems healed.
The officer and civilian continued to struggle with the driver for the gun. A few seconds later, the driver accelerated the car, dragging the officer on the driver's side and the civilian, who was partially in the passenger side. Both were able to free themselves before the vehicle left the parking lot. After seeing the incident, one officer dialed 911 to report a deputy had been shot, and the officers inside left the building to give aid to those involved. While aid was being rendered, the suspect came back and drove through the parking lot. Chief St. John reported officers thought they would be fired at and retreated back into the casino. As
they look like pussies now, don't they, running away?
The suspect left the parking lot onto Grand Avenue, responding on-duty officers arrived. Officers tried to stop the suspect. However, he fled west on Grand Avenue and drove at speeds of 60 miles per hour. The suspect eventually lost control of the vehicle at the 1200 block of Grand Avenue, slid sideways, rolled, and struck a light pole in front of Albertsons. The driver suffered.
The running and shit's obviously not good and shit, but goddamn. They shouldn't be allowed to do this either.
Suffered serious injuries and was taken to the hospital for care. The handgun was also recovered from the wreckage near the suspect. After about 5 to 6 months, the sheriff finally concluded that his deputy had violated the agency's policy on ethics and conduct. Deputy Smart received a letter of reprimand telling him that what he did was naughty, but faced no further consequences.
A letter of reprimand.
Officer Matt Frank was suspended for 2 weeks for his involvement. Neither Deputy Smart or Officer Frank faced any criminal charges for their blatant criminal behavior on that evening. Both still hold positions at their department, and Officer Matt Frank was recently featured on a podcast on the City of Billings YouTube channel. A link to that is below. Contact information is listed below if you would like to say anything to the district attorney about their refusal to prosecute criminals. Not that that will actually change what's going on. You're not living in a system of law and order. You're just being ruled by a bunch of thugs. But hey, don't take my word for it. Let me show you another 1,000 videos over the next 5 years of government getting away with breaking the laws that they created, while you and I get arrested when we haven't broken any laws at all, for simply exposing the fact that these guys break the law.
Okay, so now cops being called on you for filming here. What are you doing?
Waiting for an Uber.
Waiting for an Uber.
Yeah, I figured this would be the safest place.
Okay,
and
I need an ID.
I'm exercising my First Amendment right.
I need an ID.
What crime have I committed?
You're the subject of a call from this detention facility, so I need an ID.
I just told you I'm exercising my First Amendment right.
I'm telling you, if you don't give me an ID, I'm going to take you to jail for a crime.
obstructing a peace officer. So,
but what crime have I committed?
By not giving your ID, you're committing the crime of obstructing a peace officer.
But I'm asking for my Fourth
And
Amendment.
he could easily sue and probably win, but what was, I mean, the officers aren't going to be fired. You're just costing the taxpayers. The taxpayers had to pay it, right?
Protection.
Those were the cities.
Searches and seizures.
Search and seizure
of my persons and property.
Correct. And if you commit a crime, then I have the right to seize you.
Yeah, so what crime have I committed?
Obstructing a peace officer. Right now, you're committing that.
No, there has to be an underlying thing that you're investigating.
I'm investigating.
That's a secondary crime in most states, right? You can't obstruct a peace officer if the peace officer has no lawful reason to be there in most states. Some states, it can be by itself for just refusing to answer questions or whatever. But yeah.
They called me.
Okay, but what crime am I committing?
Obstructing a peace officer. So you give me your ID.
So had they not called you, how would I be obstructing a peace officer? Okay, so I haven't committed a crime.
You are committing a crime right now.
I will take this right to jail.
Okay, so here's the deal. I'm going to tell you real quick.
I'm waiting for an Uber. Like I said, I'm exercising my First Amendment right.
Right now, you're being detained. You're not free to go.
What reasonable articulable suspicion do you have that I'm committing a crime?
Right now, you're committing a crime of obstructing a peace officer. I already told you that. So here's.
But you don't have a right to come up and just identify me.
Yes, I do. When you're the subject of a call, I do. Were you out on North 28th? Okay. Yeah. No, not the Saturday.
I'm waiting for my Uber.
Okay. So he's been acting like this all night.
I'm waiting for my Uber, and I would like to do it in a safe spot.
This is your last chance. Give me your name.
I'm going to go to jail, man, because this is my first. Can I take my backpack off?
Damn. In Billings, Montana. Jesus Christ, that got kind of rough, huh? And then a social media influencer derailed a train. You know, a teenager derailed a train for clout. Who won't give me a copyright strike?
Oh my god! Oh my god!
So they rolled. Apparently, somehow he got this car out on the main line, and then sat and recorded and waited for a train to come hit it.
Oh my freaking god!
This story is the stupidest thing I've ever seen anybody do. Okay, that's unfortunately not true, but it's up there. I really never thought I'd ever have to talk about something like this, because, okay, real talk, I have actually had comments before. Whenever I lecture people about rail safety, sometimes I get responses like, you know, you don't have to preach to the choir on that. Rail fans know better. And, you know, in a perfect world, I'd agree with you. Obviously, not.
You can tell them trying to lock down the brakes and all the movement from them trying to get on the reversers and shit.
Because
he changed the switch.
Rail fan has been
That
accused
explains why they hit the switch so
of
hard.
intentionally derailing a train for YouTube clout. Seriously.
Anybody? So some of them have switch keys, but switch keys are kind of generic because how many people do you need to have a switch key, right? It might be hundreds or thousands of people need to have a key to it. There's some that are unsecured. You could just go throw a switch. I mean, it's a huge fucking crime, but you could just go throw a switch.
Now, the charges against this 17-year-old boy were just recently put forward, but the actual incident happened a few months ago in April on the 21st. It occurred on BNSF, and the train came off the rails at a railroad crossing near Monroe and Juniper Streets at 6:10 p.m. in Bennett, Nebraska.
He recorded all this?
Oh, yeah, he did this, and of course, he set up a tripod to film the accident so he could post it later. Like a complete and utter buffoon. You stooge. You absolute moron. You fool. You idiot. You could have killed somebody. And as we previously established, a lot of us assume that rail fans in particular know better. And we, apparently, have had just way too much faith in humanity. It's one of those things. Now, I do want to stress the actual charges are, of course, alleged. He hasn't been...
And there'll be so many fines with derailing a train. It is so fucking expensive to put a train back on rails, but that's the only thing you can do, right?
Found guilty yet, so it's entirely possible that he may be found innocent, and it was just a complete coincidence that right at the point that a train decides to derail, after a switch was conveniently tampered with, that he sets up his tripod, pointed at exactly the place where the accident would happen. Oh, yeah, and right after the accident, genius over here approached the police, asked what happened, and then said, oh, they must have tampered with the switch, as if performing a subtle confession.
Somebody must have tampered with a switch.
You know, just a few odd, suspicious things that may make someone suspect that perhaps he had everything to do with it. But again, not found guilty yet. But yes, he tampered with a switch. He frankly just misaligned it on purpose. The train was coming eastbound along a nearby grain elevator when the conductor on board noticed that a switch was misaligned. This forced the train to veer onto a local industry track that happened to have...
So if you're on mainline traffic, a lot of the blocks that trains operate, so they operate in track blocks, segments, and that's where you have your signals between the blocks. a lot of that is updated to where they can tell if switches are thrown, right? There's like electricity running through, a very low voltage electricity running through. They can tell the position of the switch is in, whether it's open, whether it's broken, whether it's, even if the indicator's wrong and it's like, if the indicator shows it's a line for mainline travel, but the switch is thrown, they can still tell. But there's a lot of old railroad tracks, right? Because they were built a long fucking time ago, and a lot of it hasn't been updated with the required stuff. But if you're on mainline, you typically don't have to worry about any switches being aligned. It would be a really weird spot that you would be on mainline, like not in a yard, not delivering to somebody. You're just traveling from point A to point B, hundreds of miles away or whatever. On mainline, so we have a lot of rules in the railroad where you have to be traveling at a speed to where you can check for switch points that are lined, check for obstructions, check for this. That typically doesn't apply to the main line, right? You're set a speed, you're ready to go, and everything should be aligned for you. Yeah, it's weird that the conductor would have even seen it. Right? They would have just assumed it was a line for their travel.
Other cars just sitting on it because they weren't supposed to be on that track. They did not have nearly enough space to stop, and thus they hit it and derailed. Now, the engineer and conductor are okay. No one was hurt, but the accident did cause significant damage, in excess of $150,000. And it took some time to figure out exactly what went wrong, but the child involved in the situation was immediately kind of a suspect because he was acting weird. And of course, he uploaded the footage for all to see in order to bring more attention to his YouTube channel. And you can see the footage on his channel, though I would discourage going there to give him any more views because it's exactly what he wants, and I would almost argue that the video needs to be removed because he does not deserve to.
He was there a week before around the switch.
To profit off of what could almost be described as domestic terrorism. Now, BNSF has their own railroad police that specialize in these sort of investigations, and they obtained a warrant on July 8th to seize a cell phone and a 4K digital recorder that belongs to him, which they thought contained evidence of him committing the crime. There's also apparently nearby CCTV footage that shows him on the scene. Now, the footage doesn't actually show him flipping the switch, but it does show him walking towards the switch and then back towards his car to get his recording equipment. You know, now at this point, the unnamed 17-year-old has denied doing any of this, but it is, pretty sus. Pretty sus, not gonna lie. And the warrant mentioned that if he is formally charged, which as of the making of this video hasn't actually happened yet, he would receive a charge of criminal mischief of over $5,000. Now, I'm not really clear about the sentence.
When I was a kid, I don't know if I should tell myself. When I was young and didn't know, there was an area of railroad tracks that was very, very, very seldomly used. Like you might see a train on like once a month. They delivered to one vendor or whatever. And me and my cousin used to go down that railroad track, and there was all kinds of switches. You stepped on a little switch lever, and it'd pop up, and we'd throw the switches and fuck around, try to crush rocks in them and shit. Luckily, that wasn't like mainline track. That's a place where they have to be traveling at a speed to make sure that all the switches, that they could stop before they even meet a switch. So basically, a lot of the rules around like your signals or how you're supposed to operate on a track is you have to be able to stop in half the distance you can see a lot of times. So if you can see 100 yards, you have to be able to stop in 50 yards. So you're with a heavy train, you're moving dead slow. Like it's insanely slow. But that's a lot of the rules. And suppose you did run up on a switch that's misaligned. That's your job, basically. You're going to get fired. It's all union. If it's unionized, you're going to get fired for like 2 weeks. Then you come back. But that'll always be a safety mark on your shit. So if you're supposed to be traveling at a speed to where you could stop within a hazard that they, not this train crew, but let's say you're operating in a yard and you're supposed to be able to stop before a switch and you don't, you run through the switch, that's the conductor and engineer are basically getting fired.
Guidelines as that particular charge, but it is a third-degree felony, so it is somewhat of a serious thing. So not something someone so young would want on their record, or even if you were old, you wouldn't want on their record. Really, you don't want to be a felon. And it's possible he may be charged with that, but as I said, he hasn't been formally charged with anything at this time, though the evidence looks pretty bad. And as far as him getting clout off of this particular stunt, well, his upload is still there, but it's mostly full of comments of people, well, not being very happy with him. You are responsible for derailing this train, and you will go to jail for doing so. As a fellow 17-year-old railroad enthusiast, yes, we all make dumb decisions, but God, how dumb do you have to be to endanger the lives of the railroad crew, as well as any civilians nearby, all for your 5 seconds of internet fame? This is honestly so beyond me as to why you even remotely thought this was a good idea. Have fun with the charges that await you, bud. And of course, you unbelievable buffoon. Oh wait.
I think they said it did $150,000 worth of damage.
Me. I'm very helpful, and I want to give him the benefit of the doubt and say maybe, just maybe, yeah, it looks bad, but maybe he didn't actually do it. I would love to be wrong here. I would adore it if we could all look back and say, wow, this kid actually didn't do anything wrong. He just happened to be on site when this all occurred. Also, I don't really think that's what's going to happen. I genuinely, this is kind of open and shut. It really does seem like, nah, he derailed the train through you.
What the fuck is this, Dr. J? Another train story.
Did this guy get hit? Yeah, he's missing a leg, and the other one is all, like, I don't know if his pants or anything hold him on or what. His foot there and stuff, On this side, part of his leg is on this side. He's a mess, but he's still alive.
He's still alive?
In a remote area of western Nevada, railroad workers called the local sheriff's department to report a dismembered body lying in the jagged rocks alongside the tracks. The treacherous desert terrain forces the responding deputy to ride the train back to the location of the sighting, roughly a mile from the nearest highway. When he finds the man miraculously conscious despite catastrophic injuries, he'll have to do everything in his power to keep him alive as the sun sets on this desolate landscape. It's early evening on April 7th, 2024, when the Churchill County Sheriff's Department receives a call from the train operators in an out.
We used to put pennies on the rail, too. I grew up beside the railroad tracks. You can also take a railroad spike. So, you know, a railroad spike has like a pretty sharp angle on the end of it, kind of like a nail. You can lay it with the rounded part that sticks out that grabs the rail. You can lay it with that sticking up and the spike towards the direction of the train. And when a train comes, hits that on that wedge, it's so fucking heavy, it shoots it like a goddamn rocket. Don't do it because it's moving so fast, it would definitely kill somebody if it hit them. But damn, does it shoot out. Makes a wild sound, too.
Line area.
Sheriff's Office?
Yes, ma'am. Hi, this is Hyman with Union Pacific Railroad. I was calling because I had a train crew report a individual that's laying down on our right-of-way. We're not sure if he's injured of any kind. The train crew thinks they may have seen the person move.
And is he laying down on the tracks or next to them?
Next to the tracks.
The details are sparse, but the caller provides enough information for police to begin investigating. Unfortunately, when Deputy Ty Nelson arrives at the railroad tracks, he discovers that it will be no simple feat to actually get to the individual.
Hey, Sarge, can you hear me?
Yeah. Did this guy get hit?
Yeah, I'm not sure. So I'm at the railroad crossing, and he's saying it's going to be easier to catch a ride on the train to where he's at because you can't get to it in the truck.
If it's critical, let us know so that we can get carefully.
Perhaps no law enforcement shift can be considered typical, but riding a train to the scene of the incident is unusual by any metric. Nonetheless, Deputy Nelson knows that the situation is urgent, and he's about to learn that the victim is in even worse shape than he realized.
What's that? Don't let the rail on the motor. Don't take his time. All right. Yeah. All aboard. I'll bring it back 100. You want to get inside the locomotive? You good here?
I'm good here.
Okay. Yeah, he's missing a leg, and the other one is all, like, I don't know, his pants or anything hold him on or what.
Okay.
His foot there and stuff on this side.
Well, they think he's dead.
Part of his leg is on this side. He's a mess. But he's still alive.
He's still alive? Okay.
Yeah. Amtrak went by him before us and said that they thought they saw a body. That's why we checked. And there's a bag up here at the old California side. I think that's his bag. Okay. If he fell off, I don't know.
The ride back to the scene didn't take more than 5 minutes.
It sounds kind of harsh, but there's, even if somebody's moving, there's times that you still wouldn't call med flight.
Yeah. See what I mean? I didn't know how you did it.
Yeah.
A quick glance at the surrounding landscape shows why it may not be possible to get an ambulance to the victim.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to have access or a landing zone. I might have to pick this guy up and put him on the train and put him to where my car is.
What was the deal with the Olympics and firebombing the rail system and shit? I don't know if you guys know, but my niece, her older brother, and his boyfriend are all over in Paris right now.
Sir, can you hear me? What's your name? Can you tell me your name? Can you hear me?
Tourniquets,
Sir,
man.
I'm Deputy Nelson.
Tourniquets.
Can you tell me your name? Huh?
There it is. Cat
Okay.
tourniquet.
Hearing about the man's injuries from a witness is one thing. Seeing them up close is quite...
He was saying one leg's completely removed, and the other leg, they don't know if it's just his pants holding it on. So I think it's both legs.
another. It's quickly clear to Deputy Nelson that he must take decisive measures.
Deputy Nelson, I'm going to be putting a tourniquet on you, okay?
It's a leg injury. You got to double it up. If you have a cat tourniquet, they have two different of the sliding buckles you can go through. If it's for an arm, you only need one of them. If it's for the leg, you need both.
What's your name? I can't hear you.
The man on the ground is barely coherent, and the deputy knows that he needs emergency medical attention without delay.
Do you have a phone that you can get signal?
Yeah.
Can you let them know I'm Deputy Nelson? Tell them to get care flight on standby and get them here now.
Okay.
As soon as possible.
What?
Huh?
What or what?
Call them, tell them that you're here with me, and tell them that we're going to need care flight.
Okay, both.
911.
Okay.
Yeah. Tell them I have a double amputee. Okay.
911, what's your emergency?
Hi, my name is Robert Miller. I'm with Union Pacific Railroad. I'm here with Deputy Nelson, and he says we need a care flight here immediately. We have a man with double amputee on his leg got hit by a train.
Okay, we have care flight on the way. Their ETA isn't until 1953, so we still have a ways to go.
Holy 1953.
Yeah, they're coming from Truckee.
Okay, from
Truckee? Truckee? Oh, is there a missing girl involved? Who wants to start a GoFundMe? You guys see any purple lights in the cab of that train? Truckee? Let's find this place on Google Earth.
I'm Truckee. Okay.
The medic
All
should
right.
be there soon, though.
Okay, we'll bring the train back to the crossing and bring the medic back to him.
Okay,
All right, thank you. Bye.
The helicopter is coming from Truckee, California, which is approximately 80 miles west of Churchill County, Nevada. The 35-minute wait time is a setback, but local EMTs are also on the way. The train heads back to the highway to pick them up while Deputy Nelson stays with the double amputee.
Can you hear me? Hey, I'm sticking with you, okay? Stay with me, okay?
Everything always goes back to fucking Truckee.
Put your head up, okay?
I bet you his dad's his grandpa, too.
Put your head under my blanket or my jacket under you. All right? Is that better? Can you hear me?
A lot of places cops won't move a body unless the EMT's on station, just because they're afraid. They move him, something's wrong with his back, then they get sued into oblivion.
What's your first name?
But the EMT might have them load him up on the train.
Do you have ID on you? Do you have a wallet or anything?
The victim can't quite articulate his name, but that won't prevent the deputy from providing all the comfort he can under the circumstances.
Dude, when my dad, I don't want to talk about it all. When my dad had a massive heart attack and needed airlift when he passed away. He had a massive heart attack, needed airlifted from a place called Limestone Cove, which is probably like a 35-minute drive to the hospital. No. It's probably like a 30-minute drive to the hospital. Where I was at when I got the phone call that he had a heart attack, they had already called 911. That 911 was en route. I was probably 40 minutes away from the hospital. I drove to the hospital, and I sped, I'm sure. Let's say I got there in 30 minutes. Let's say I cut 10 minutes off. I drove to the hospital. We waited an hour and 9 minutes before my dad got there from being airlifted from where he was at. An hour and 9 minutes before he fucking got there. So add that onto my 30, an hour and 40 minutes. And give another 10 minutes for them to call 911, tell the situation, move him to where MedFlight was supposed to get him. We're looking at 2 fucking hours for my dad to get to the hospital. And it was all because, I guess, the traffic, a hospital had to come out from the Virginia State Police to come pick him up. Or I'm sorry, a helicopter had to come from Virginia State Police to come pick him up because all the other air med units were in. Usually the response time is like 10 minutes and you're at the hospital. But I guess they were all en route somewhere else. But we beat him there by over an hour to the hospital. We're sitting there waiting on him. Every helicopter that landed unloaded somebody. We were looking for him and shit. We were waiting outside, and it took him fucking forever to get there.
I'm here with you, okay? Can you squeeze my hand? Good. All right, don't squeeze. Hold off on it. Squeeze again.
It's not like we live in the middle of nowhere and there's just not it available. They're just all busy. Usually response time's really good. It just everything lined up that it wasn't great.
All right, that's good. That's good. All right, stay with me, okay? I got you. Can you open your eyes for me? All right, that's good. It's real good. All right, just stick with me, okay?
The man isn't capable of having a conversation, but the officer does manage to find something helpful in the nearby rocks.
Victor. Okay. All right, Victor. Deputy Nelson, okay? You can call me Ty. I'm here for you. All right? You'll be okay. All right. We're not going to move you, okay?
Good job.
I'm not going to move you because I don't know if you have any spinal injuries or anything like that.
That wasn't his. So my dad had been on a helicopter before. He's been twice, actually. That would have been his third trip. And the first time he was on the helicopter, I don't think the guy said anything to him. The second time, the guy recognized him from our life flight and said, "Mr. Bird, you're only one of a few people that's ever been on my helicopter twice." And Dad was talking at this time, and he's like, "Oh yeah, anybody been on here 3 times?" Like making a joke about it. And the guy said he could count on one hand the number of people that have been on the helicopter 3 times.
Like that. Okay? No, stop moving. Just sit here, okay? I understand that you're probably in a lot of pain, but I need you to stay still, okay? Hey, it's Nelson. Hey,
I flew with him once. The only once.
Subject's name is going to be last of Reynolds, first of Victor. I don't have a date of birth. He is conscious, barely alert, barely mumbling. He is a double amputee.
Okay, I advise the medic.
Okay. I'm not going to move him. I don't know if he has any back or spinal injuries. He is breathing, though.
Okay.
All right.
It's not clear how aware Victor is of what's happening around him, but it must surely be a comfort that he's no longer spending what might have been his final moments lying alone in the drift of rocks beside the railroad tracks. As for Deputy Nelson, he does his best to keep Victor still while being mindful of his agony.
Your back is hurting? All right, I'll roll you over, okay? I'll put the jacket under your back, okay? Here.
I wonder what happened. Did he pass out on the tracks or fall on the tracks?
All right, stay right there. Here, you can roll back over. I got my jacket under your back, okay, if you want to lay on my jacket. All right? Stop trying to move. Victor, I need you to stop moving, okay? I'm not going anywhere, okay? You got paramedics on their way. Man, can you open your hand all the way? Can you open your hand all the way? All right, squeeze it. There you go. Good job. Good job, Victor. All right, good job. All right. Medics are here.
I don't know how the Virginia State Police, we live a long way from Virginia State line. I don't know how they even got involved. They must have been over here doing something else and said that they would come pick up my dad.
How we doing?
It's good. He's alert. He's
I wish I would have went. I was just told that live flight was on. I wish I would have went and picked him up.
All right.
For the most part.
And we got tourniquets
Both on. He's able to squeeze my hand. He's able to squeeze both hands. The other foot is on the other side of the tracks.
All right.
Wasn't sure what else to do. I wanted to keep him warm, so I didn't cut that off.
Well, once tourniquets are applied, so you have a double amputee. Once tourniquets are applied, you shouldn't be getting any more heavy blood loss. You should have a good 6 hours, as long as you're not already unconscious. Like he's having a short conversation with him. He should be good for a few hours.
Hey, Victor, stay there, okay? Stop moving.
All right, I'm gonna go get that over here.
Okay, it's a little back to the north there.
As one EMT goes in search of Victor's other foot, the deputy acknowledges that there's much he still doesn't know about the man himself.
Do you have a chance to get a data by chance?
No, I'm not getting a lot out of him.
Not really my priority. No, I really get out of him now.
Yeah, I can call dispatch and see if they found anything.
Is he a felon?
I don't know. And I can't tell from that.
I'm not. I'm super pressed about it.
Okay. I don't know if there's a wallet. If there is, and it's tied with the tourniquet. But
no worries.
They stay focused on the goal of keeping Victor alive, but many mysteries surround the man in their care. And indeed, many more will come to the surface before this night is over.
You need to roll over? We need you to stay in like this, okay? We're going to get some an IV in you, okay? I need you to stay as still as possible. Still with me, Victor? All right.
The sight of these modern medical devices against the backdrop of this barren desert only highlights the urgency of getting Victor to the hospital. The question is, how are they going to do that?
Yeah, they're not landing on the side of that hill. You're going to have to drag that body up there or fucking push it out to the crossing or something.
On the stretcher?
Huh? Not to mention these lines. They're not even going to get close to these lines.
Are you putting them on the stretcher and taking them over?
Okay. It's going to be a blanket.
You got them.
We don't have a stretcher?
Huh?
Are you putting them on the stretcher and taking them over?
Okay.
EMTs don't have a stretcher?
You got them.
A backboard or nothing?
Eyes are still opening. Hands are moving.
Neither Deputy Nelson nor the EMT can disguise their doubts about that prospect, but there is hope on the horizon as the care flight helicopter finally arrives on the scene.
It looks like he's going up to the crossing. We might go up there and try to get his attention. He didn't see us as he went by.
I'm sure he saw you.
Yeah, he's probably trying to find a landing spot. Just trying to find a place to land that's safe.
They have to, so if they've never landed in this area and they don't know the terrain, especially at night, they're going to at least do one pass, maybe multiple passes. One thing that you can do is if you have somebody on site that can coordinate with them through radio, if they can get, so the pilots can give them a rundown. Well, I guess that wouldn't help. If you're in an area where cars can access, the pilots can give them a rundown of what they need. Like this many yards away from this many yards away from that. We need to open. We need to enter from this direction or whatever over the radio. And you can we've used cars before, like make a circle out of cars, and turn the headlights on. Different things to designate it a lot. You can use flares. You can use different things. But you really have to know what they need, what direction they need. They like to come in a headwind, so it makes it easier to take off. That to be so much distance away from these cable lines, power lines, shit like that.
Yeah, we might have to do with him like
your arm right there.
I don't know why the EMTs wouldn't throw I mean, there's a lot of room. Like all the way down the side of an engine is just a place with handrails and shit. Somebody could stand with a fucking backboard, a stretcher and shit. Weird.
Yeah, I just keep that straight.
Hey, Victor, keep your arm straight right there, okay? Don't move it.
Hoping for a break, the deputy surveys the area for an acceptable place where the helicopter could land. One thing's for sure, with the sun going down on the Nevada desert, the conditions out here aren't getting any better.
Ms. Nelson.
Dave, Care Flight landed on 95 near the ambulance.
Okay. There's a possible landing spot kind of where we're at, but I don't know if they're okay with landing there.
Okay.
We're not going to be able to get this guy onto the train, though.
Okay.
So,
I'm at your house. We're going to get him back. If
yeah.
Care Flight can't land.
Okay. All right. We'll do with what we can. All right. Bye. They landed by you guys. That's a mile up the road.
A lack of good options forces Deputy Nelson to prepare for what will be an extremely grueling task.
If you guys are down with it, I'm willing to carry him as far as I can.
You might not
take breaks. Yeah, we don't have a choice. It is what it is. Let's do it.
All right.
The blanket
here. Yeah, try to see if we can get to the blanket kind of wrap around him.
No one can pretend that this will be anything other than a tough journey, but they are willing to do what they must to save Victor's life. Fortunately, it won't come to that.
This is crazy.
I'm trying to. Can I get the flashlight? Let's see if I can go.
I was not a medic. A medic is your entire designation, like it's your whole job. But I went, so you have this thing that everybody takes called Combat Lifesaver, and it teaches you basic things like fucking tourniquet and IV and shit like that. And then they were doing a program when I were in, I don't know if they still do it, where you can take more advanced. So I went through 3 more stages. Like everybody gets Combat Lifesaver. I went through like 3 more stages of a Combat Lifesaver program where you're building more knowledge and more knowledge and more knowledge. There's even a point where you actually get to pack gunshot wounds and shit like that. So no, I wasn't a medic. That's like your whole job. Like you're fucking 68 whiskey, you're a medic. I was actually a Cav Scout. But I had a lot of medic-like training, I guess.
All right, Victor, I need you to roll towards deputy over here, all right? All right.
I volunteered for every fucking class I could find on it. I figured it was better to have it and not need it.
Okay.
Didn't need it and not have it.
Yeah. All right, so our plan is to use a blanket as kind of just a sheet and just like drag him up to the... Yeah, it's kind of the plan. Do you guys want to take his limbs with you now, or do you want to come back for him? No.
In a night filled with unpleasant questions, this won't be the last.
What's the deal with the dog in the backpack?
I have no idea. I haven't established that part yet.
Fair enough.
Deputy Nelson arrived at the railroad tracks that evening with very little information, knowing only that it was a welfare check on a, quote, male subject laying down next to the railroad tracks and possibly a backpack with a deceased dog inside. Police take Victor's backpack from the scene and photograph it, but there's no further explanation of its origin or its unsettling contents.
Dad dog in his Bugs Bunny backpack? Oh, it's not Bugs Bunny. Knockoff Bugs Bunny backpack.
Police take Victor's backpack from the scene and photograph it, but there's no further explanation of its origin or its unsettling contents.
Thank you for landing here.
A lot of people get upset, but there's actually courses in the military where animals that are raised for the purpose are wounded and then repaired, I would say.
Oh, man. You should take it back in the crib. No. I don't think that would have been. Those are some steep steps.
Victor's lonely nightmare by the railroad tracks is finally over, and now it's time for Deputy Nelson and the EMTs to climb those steps one final time for the ride back.
Everyone's on board, clear red zone with a
Mike, thirsty, want water?
Not at the moment, thank you, though.
Sure. Okay, cool. Hydrate. Thank you. And let's start 29.
Yeah.
The night may still be young, but it's not one that Deputy Nelson is likely to forget, nor is he quite done. There are still many unanswered questions about what exactly happened here. Unfortunately, finding those answers won't be easy.
The Union Pacific guy who was on the train told me that it was possibly 2 trains before him. Stated that there was an Amtrak train that had noticed the guy on the side of the tracks, and they reported it to Union Pacific, and then Union Pacific called us. So he was assuming that it was a train before Amtrak.
My guess is that this guy probably was somewhere in the consist of the train and jumped off or fell off or something, so probably won't have any images of it, but I'll be able to tell you which train it was.
Unfortunately, narrowing down the correct train may be even more difficult than that.
I've had stuff like this where somebody got their leg cut off and they were there for a solid 24 hours. Trains went by and nobody saw them. So this could be something
idea that Victor might have suffered that long without assistance is nearly unthinkable. And unfortunately, the police report does not provide a definitive answer as to when he was struck. He was transported by care flight to Reno, Nevada, thus bringing Churchill County's involvement in the case to an end. On May 1st, 2024, roughly 3 weeks after the incident, Sheriff Richard Hickox presented Deputy Ty Nelson with a letter of commendation for the, quote, compassion, empathy, care, and professionalism displayed on that unusual call for service. Interestingly, Deputy Nelson had joined the forces only a few months ago before the incident and had already shown such courage. Unfortunately, while several Facebook users asked about the victim's survival, the sheriff's office did not respond. There's been no update as of yet on the status of Victor Reynolds.
Good job, everybody. There you go. Except for Victor Reynolds. The dead dog's a little sus. I got to meet, so they've been doing this big press tour here our local police department. And like I've seen like 3 newspaper articles about the first black cop. And I don't know if ever or how long. I got to meet him the other day. I was going to show the footage of my interaction with the cop, but then I thought, man, it kind of doxes the office. So not doing that, but I'll give you a rundown. So I went out to I've been being harassed by the cops locally, but I went out of the office and started my Jeep, and I realized that I had forgot to start the printer, a 3D print that I was doing overnight. So I left the Jeep running, lights on, everything at the office. Now I'm at the back part of like an office building that has multiple offices, and in the back there's like a storage lot for construction company. So it probably thought I was like breaking into the construction thing or whatever. Anyways, I come in here, I'm working around for a few minutes, waiting for the first layer to print, blah, 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 and doing the thing. So it's probably been like 5 minutes by the time I go back out. But when I go back out, there's car lights behind me, but they're like 30 feet behind me, like in this little alleyway. And I walk over to the car to get in. Well, while I'm walking over the car, I see like a little searchlight, which doesn't mean it's the police. It could be anybody. But a little searchlight on the mirror like wiggles at me, like comes on, wiggles, and goes off. So I look at it for a second. Nothing happens. So I go to get back in the Jeep. It does it again. And I hear somebody's voice. And I was like, I can't fucking hear you. You're 30 feet away and the goddamn car's running beside me. So I turn off my car and look back over. And then I see somebody pass in front of the lights. And I was like, hey. And the person's like, hey. But I can't see them. I'm like, are you the fucking cops? And they're like, yeah, hey, what's up? So I start walking that way and they start walking to meet me. And I meet him. And he's like, hey, I was just checking what's going on around here. And I was like, that's my office. I work there till late in the night. But yeah, that's my office. And they're like, oh, I was just checking. I was like, yep. Then I realized, I was like, aren't you the guy that's been in the paper, like the first black cop or whatever? And he's like, yeah, that's me. So I introduced him. He tells him his name. I tell him I'm Will and shake his hand. I was like, well, anyways, that's my office. I'm headed home. I work late at night. I usually don't get here until the evening and then work late at night. He's like, oh, so you probably have proof that's your office, right? And I said, yeah. And then we just had this weird moment of silence where I was wondering, like, I haven't done nothing fucking wrong, motherfucker. You're not about to ID me, motherfucker. What do you want to see? A goddamn lease agreement? What are we doing? I just said, yeah. And it was like one of those things, like the first person to talk lost. So I was just like, yeah. And we just stared at each other. And he's like, all right, then, I was just checking. And I was like, all right, we'll see you, buddy. And hopped in the Jeep and left. He followed me for a pretty good ways. I'm sure he ran my fucking tags. He might have ran them before he even come outside because I was like pulled in, not backed in. But yeah, I wasn't about to be violated. I know my rights. Anyways, thank you guys for joining us. That's the show for tonight. Hope you know your rights, and always remember,
that's my purse. I don't know you.
That's how you deal with being mugged. Thank you guys for joining us. I appreciate it. Thank you for the support, hanging out the show. I don't know, man. Like I'm becoming more and more like, it seems like every time I deal with one of these fucking Trump worshiping pieces of shit, my fuse gets so much shorter. I don't know if there's a fuse left. I think I'm just done. Anyways, thank you guys for hanging out with me. Listen to me bitch for a while. We'll see you about the next one. Thank you for joining us. Tomorrow we got to do some Patreon stuff. I got to get back on schedule for Patreon. So if you're a Patreon member or Twitch subscriber, You'll be able to check out the show. Other than that, we'll probably go over Phil's stuff tomorrow on Patreon, Twitch subscribers. Thank you guys for joining us. Thanks for being here. I guess that's it. See you on the next one. Have a good night.
But I can tell you this about if this douchebag happens to see this particular show, you don't have the
My new pet peeve is when people say,
people on this planet.
well, both birds, both wings of the same bird. Yeah, except one fucking bird tried to circumvent the entire fucking process we use and make himself king. So that wing, fuck that wing. Now we're a one-winged bird.
That stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss 'em off.
All they're doing is hand-waving all the bullshit that fucking Trump did because politicians bad.
Buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. And they say that I'm a lunatic. Well, listen, bitch, I came equipped.
That's right, Dr. J, tell them.
6 cents for the stupid.
And she's old enough to remember when birds were real. They called them, what was it? Pterodactyl? Wasn't that what it's called?
To profit off of gossip. Worshipping drums, cocking, begging for a throat deposit. Swinging fucking meat hammers like four in a thong. He's strapped to the shaft, eating his chest like he's King Kong. Starving for attention, I'm gonna make your gut burst.
I know it starts with a P. That's all I remember.
Thirst. Baby eating lizard people, alien sex. What's next? Trump in a dress, fucking Flynn on his desk. A retard in a vest, climbing up 5G towers. Cause you told him if he did, he'd get fucking superpowers. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss him off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss him off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. I used to find clues too when I was high on shrooms. I found myself a tunnel that led to Jason Q's bedroom. Open his closet, I found some of his meat rockets. I strapped it to my shoes and then I flew through the roof. I found myself in orbit strapped to an F-16.
I'm just trying to start telling everybody that Tim pulls an anchor baby. See how long I can push that narrative.
He tapped me on the shoulder and said, this is gonna be it. Whoa, wait. Stop. What? I'll get my files. Wait, what are you doing? Stop. Hold on. Fucking stop. Dude, come on. Seriously.
Tim pulls an anchor baby with an anchor beanie.
Oh, give me a... Oh, my God.
I'm out. See you guys.
Here we go. I think I started some shit. Piss them off. It's about to get lit. Get the place in the bets. You know that stage is set. You better buckle